Hey,
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is Mikey McNuggets joined by G. Bush, a.k.a. Anthony Cantaspelli today.
the
We
artist.
only have one built-in graphic for a two-shot, and I guess they built it for me and G. Bush last year, and we have not changed it. So we will be changing that here in the immediate future. Anthony, do you actually know how to make Restream graphics? I know the Tank made these ones for us
I have
last year.
absolutely no idea how Emily made these, but I will figure it out.
We'll look into it. We should
Ian
probably make
might
two
have actually
shots for
made
all
these.
of us. Me and you, me and Earl, you and Earl, in case one of us isn't here. But football is here, ladies and gentlemen, and we will get to our Browns preview here momentarily. We'll also pick tonight's Chiefs-Lions game and preview some of the other things happening around the NFL before week one. But I just want to say this, Ant. It hasn't fully hit me that football is like truly back yet until this morning when we got in early. We worked up until the show, which hasn't happened in quite a while, where we were exporting graphics till the absolute last minute. And then we stayed after late today to make sure we got everything set up and prepared for tomorrow. I know it's partially because Earl isn't here and we're doing three people's jobs with two of us, but either way, that's how I knew football was officially back. And even though today was quite the grind, I'm just happy we have football. We have something really tangible to dig our teeth into.
Yeah, no, football is back. I got to be honest. I know like the month we didn't have Earl was in the middle of summer, and thank goodness it was, because it's been 4 days. And Earl, if you're watching this, I miss you. Please come
Earl,
back.
we miss you, dude.
Like,
we do miss Earl.
I'm so tired.
I hope he's having fun at his wedding events. He said this is the first wedding he's ever been a part of. I believe. I don't quite, but I believe he said that before
I
one
think
of the
you're
shows.
right. Because the wedding I'm in November is the first one I've been a part of. I'm a groomsman for the first time, and we were
No. I think this is the first one he's just ever gone to.
Yeah. Oh wait, the first one he's ever gone to?
I think that's what he said.
That's crazy. If that's
I could be wrong.
I thought it was just like a part of.
No, well, he's in the groomsman party. He's officiating the wedding, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So he's
he
definitely heavily involved here.
Week.
But we do miss Earl. He'll be back Sunday for the post-game show. We talked to him this morning. He still sounds a little raspy. I think he's getting his non-football related sickness out of the way now. So once the season starts, he will be unimpeded by any health issues moving forward. But Earl will be back with us here shortly. But Anthony, you and I have held down the fort. We have Jay back tomorrow for the first time. He's officially off COVID protocol. I like how Steve Becker in the schedule email said he was at a concussion protocol, which maybe he was at a concussion protocol too, but
he was
Jay
watching
did not
the
have
show.
A concussion. He had COVID, which I think we could say because he said it. So
I think
hopefully
so.
Don't get in trouble by HIPAA for that. But Jay's back tomorrow. We got the whole squad. And with that, Ant, you want to start talking a little Browns Bengals week one preview?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's get into it.
Awesome. Before we do that, I want to make sure the chat's working. If you are one of the people in the live stream chat with us right now, drop a 1, a 2, a 3, or 4. Say what's up. Let me just make sure the chat's working. So if you guys have any questions throughout the show, we will get a chance to answer them for you guys. We're going to do as many as we can today. It's just me and Anthony, so we'll be able to chime in and interact with you guys as much as possible on this lovely Thursday afternoon. Before basketball for me, what do you got going on the rest of the night?
I have a Dungeons and Dragons game for the first time in forever tonight. Nice. So got all that prepared for.
I see Adam H. I see Brittany.
What's
I see
up,
Isaac.
everybody?
I see Ty hanging out with us tonight. What is up, guys? We appreciate you guys hanging out with us, getting ready for some football, and we'll wait no longer. Let's just get right into it. Anthony, Bengals, Browns, the wait is over. We have Joe Burrow versus Deshaun Watson. We have the Browns secondary versus the Bengals receiving core. We have the debut of a Jim Schwartz defense. We have the debut of a new revamped Bengals offensive line. There's so many different places we could start to dissect this matchup. So I'll let you choose. Where do you want to begin dissecting this week one AFC North must-win game for the Browns?
Well, in our fantasy draft yesterday, I was the crazy one who picked the Cleveland defense, and I'm starting in week one. So why don't we talk about the D-line going after Joe Burrow? And what was it you asked me yesterday? Do I get extra points in fantasy every time they have to peel Burrow off the ground?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we had Ben Baby on the show today, and Ben Baby said something I hadn't really thought of in terms of how Cincinnati is going to handle this Browns pass rush, because we all know Joe Burrow's had the calf injury. And granted, I don't think he'd be playing if he wasn't close to 100%. Joe Burrow is not a pocket passer. Joe Burrow is a mobile quarterback who likes to stay in the pocket. There is a difference. He's not a statue. He can move around. He's quite agile and athletic. But will the calf hinder him, and will the Bengals and their offensive staff try to create opportunities to get him out of the pocket to try and negate what should be a ferocious pass rush by the Cleveland Browns? Joe Burrow's proven. You may not like Joe Burrow. You may think he's cocky. You may not like his hair, whatever. The dude is as accurate a quarterback as we've seen in the NFL in the last 2 decades. Even on the run, his accuracy I'd put above a lot of guys with their feet planted. It's going to be imperative for the Browns to make him uncomfortable, and it's going to be a bit of a chess match between Jim Schwartz and Zach Taylor and the Bengals offensive coordinator to figure out, how do we make Joe Burrow uncomfortable? And then from Cincinnati's side, how do we make sure Joe Burrow has a platform to throw the ball without getting demolished? I'm not sure what the answer is, especially with Orlando Brown at left tackle now going up against whoever Jim Schwartz puts at right defensive end. It could be Myles Garrett. It could be Zadarius Smith, Ogbo, whoever they rotate in there. In theory, that should be the Bengals' one stalwart. Hey, one-on-one, we're good. But are you really good guarding and trying to stop Myles Garrett one-on-one with any offensive tackle in the league? Like, I'm just not sure that's the answer.
No, probably not. I think you're right, though. They're going to have to design something to get him out of the pocket. And I think it was Leroy said Wednesday, talking about the Bills, you can't go off of what you're good at. When Josh Allen saying he's not going to run as much, if they're playing him, they have to be fully confident and that injury is not going to aggravate itself, especially it being week 1. I fully expect to see the full-fledged offense come out from the Bengals. I don't think Joe Burrow is going to hold back because he's worried about his leg. I don't think Myles is going to hold back worrying that he's going to re-injure a leg. Like, I think it's going to be full-on head-to-head the whole time.
Yeah, it should be very, very, very fun to watch. Beast Girls, I said his hair. I'm just thinking of anything you could hate Joe Burrow for. Like, I don't know. That's
tough.
Nothing specific about his hair. I'm just trying to think of something you could hate on Joe Burrow for. Yeah, what I'm most excited to watch is how in third down situations does Jim Schwartz align this defense to get the most pressure on Joe Burrow. One thing Cincinnati does great, despite having T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, who are, if I was to rank what those two do best, it is get beyond the first level of the defense. T. Higgins, a great jump ball catcher, more of a deep route guy than a guy you throw a little short pass to and he picks up yards via yak. Jamar Chase is really good at everything, but Jamar Chase is a go, run, speed kind of guy who also has some physicality to his game, but he's a guy that you're usually passing the ball to deep beyond the line of scrimmage as opposed to a Tyreek Hill where a lot of times he gets a screen pass, cuts it upfield, makes guys miss. He's capable of it, but that's not what he primarily does. I'm interested to see how they try to get pressure immediately. Because what Burrow will do, if you give it to him, is take the check down, move the chains 4 or 5 yards at a time. He is perfectly fine dinking and dunking. Will Jim Schwartz dial up pressure to negate the fact that Joe Burrow is consistently taking what they give him, which may be these short little dink and dunk completions? Or are they going to say, hey, you could dink and dunk us to the 20, but once we get to the 20, we're locking up. And you're going to have to beat MJ Emerson. You have to beat Denzel Ward. You're going to have to beat Greg Newsome or whoever else is in the game, one-on-one, mano-a-mano for a touchdown. And we're not going to know that till Sunday. But that's what I'm really excited to see from this Jim Schwartz defense in his debut for the Cleveland Browns.
Yes, G's info is underneath mine, Joseph. It's a whole graphic thing. Yeah, I agree.
Joseph,
Mike,
we only have one 2-screen graphic and G. Bush's name happens to be there. We will take it down next time and get one for Anthony and Earl. But that is just a built-in template that we can't change on the fly.
Whoops. But I agreed. I think the Cleveland defensive battle is going to be what I'm most excited to see. Obviously, everybody's excited to see Watson play, Elijah Moore, Amari Cooper, everybody going all out, lights out. But I want to see Joe Burrow panic, and I want to see him suffer. It's the only game this entire season, other than when we play them again, that I'm probably going to be rooting against the Bengals because I have them picked to go all the way. But if the 2 games that they lose this year are the 2 games to the Browns, I'm going to be okay with that.
Yeah, Tempe D's right. If you guys haven't already, hit that like button. We very much appreciate any support you guys have for us here on Behind the Glass as we preview the first week of the Browns season plus some other stuff for week 1 of the NFL season, which is getting underway tonight with the Chiefs and the Bengals. Not Chiefs and the Bengals, Chiefs and the Lions. Excuse me, I got my Jungle Cats wrong. Let's talk about offensively speaking today. Deshaun Watson said on Wednesday that he wants to be better than 2020 version, which is fair. In 2020, he led the NFL in passing yards. He threw 33 touchdowns, only had 7 interceptions, and had the second highest PFF grade ever at the time for a quarterback. He was pretty damn good. His team sucked. They were 4-12.
It is impossible to imagine that team 4-12.
That team.
I don't remember a lot of the details of the 2020 team. 2020 had a lot going on into it, but was that the year that the video came out with was it JJ Watt apologizing to him as they walked off for the final game?
Yeah, they were god awful.
That was that rough year. Yeah.
The reality was, and this is not to knock Deshaun Watson,
mm-hmm.
a lot of those passing yards came in garbage time when they were down. I mean, he threw 5,000 yards, had 0 fourth quarter comebacks. Not his fault. Their defense was atrocious, but it wasn't. They were 4-12 for a reason, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So I do think if we are looking at Deshaun Watson as a whole, there is a level higher than what we saw in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
There is. Because the level higher than that is, 33 touchdowns is a lot, but that's not record-setting. That's not world-breaking. That would have been 6th in the NFL last year.
Yeah.
You can absolutely have more than 33 touchdowns, and I'll sacrifice some of those yards if that means Nick Chubb's getting carries. I think a better season for Deshaun Watson this year looks something like 4,300 yards, 38 touchdowns, 5 on the ground, 10 interceptions. He's probably going to throw more interceptions. 7's an absurdly low number, but 3 or 4 game-winning drives. And as much numbers as you put up, the most important stat in football is, can you win games? And as a quarterback, in my opinion, the most important stat, what's your fourth quarter numbers like in a 1-score game? Now, in that 2020 season for Deshaun Watson, he only played in 1 game that was a 1-score game in the fourth quarter when it actually counted. Now, the game may have ended late, but that's because Houston scored a touchdown. He is capable of. He's proven it before in his Houston tenure when they were good. I want to see him get back to being that crunch time killer that he once was in 2019 and 2018, where he was consistently one of the most clutch quarterbacks in the entire NFL. Before you go, Anthony, I see Abdul Smith said, Thornhill, no. What's that a reference to? Did something happen to Juan Thornhill?
Oh, no. I haven't been on Twitter since
I'm looking up right now. Hold on. What happened?
Yeah, real quick while you look that up. I lost my train of thought. No, real quick. The best way that this Browns offense works this year is if Deshaun Watson is not the only thing firing on all cylinders. He can be great, but we want a well-rounded offense. We do not want to be one-dimensional when we have Deshaun there. Like, it's okay for him and Chubb and everybody to lead together. It doesn't have to be a one-man show just because we paid him that contract.
Yeah, so Thornhill did not practice today. He's nicked up with a calf injury. He's listed as questionable for Saturday's game now. A calf injury, that could be extra precautionary. I'm not going to overreact yet. You got to remember, if they practice Friday, they play. If they don't practice Friday, they probably don't play. So anything before then could be precautionary. We will see what happens tomorrow when the Browns release their practice report. But if they have to go up against the secondary without Juan Thornhill and without Denzel Ward,
that's going to be
tough pill to swallow when you're playing arguably the best receiver trio in the entire NFL. Doesn't mean it's impossible to win. Doesn't mean I'm even going to change my pick on who would win. But I will say, without those two in the secondary, it becomes a whole lot harder. Let's put it that way. It becomes a whole lot harder.
Yeah, no, I agree. I should go back and watch some Thornhill film from when he was in Kansas City last year, because I really only started paying attention to him this preseason when he obviously joined the Browns. And he was phenomenal to watch during the preseason. I had a blast watching him in that game he played. I don't know how much they lose with him not out there, especially just in the first week, but it's definitely not going to be.
All right, well, let me tell you this. I do think if you're going to miss Thornhill for any game, this is a game you don't want to miss him for two reasons. One, when he was in Kansas City, nobody played Kansas City more than Cincinnati in the playoffs. Like, if anyone has the experience of going up against Joe Burrow, it is Juan Thornhill. And he brings something to the Browns secondary that they don't really have from that safety position. Part of the reason they moved away from John Johnson was he just wasn't the right post safety for how Jim Schwartz wants to play. And there was other reasons, like he just didn't live up to the contract they paid him coming out of Los Angeles. And there are, like I said, a couple reasons why he particularly didn't work. But Thornhill was kind of that perfect medium sauce replacement because he's not Edry, he's not a Hall of Famer, and he's certainly not a bum. But that dude knows how to play football, and he's a ball hawk in the secondary. You saw when they played Kansas City in the last preseason game, Ant. He jumped a route that he knew was coming because he was in that system for 3 years or 4 years with the Chiefs. Like he had seen that combination of routes. He's on defense, but he was in the locker room. I'm pretty sure he had a good idea what was coming based on that formation. He knows exactly what Kansas City and Cincinnati want to do offensively, and his veteran leadership, his championship pedigree added into the talent of their young cornerbacks, I thought was kind of the perfect combo. I think if he doesn't play, it's a big loss. Like,
I agree. I'm not saying it's not.
But
yeah,
is he the most important player on that defense? No. Against this team, do I think if I was ranking guys based on their importance to miss this game, I think he'd be way higher against the Bengals than he would be against, let's say, the Ravens or the Steelers, who I'm just not nearly as scared of their passing attacks for.
No, that's 100% fair. I mean, I definitely think we're losing, like you said, that championship pedigree. I think we're losing that winning mentality leader out there. Like, if they do fall down to those three receivers, who's going to pick them back up in that secondary if Denzel and him both aren't there? Like, Newsom's going to have to step up.
We haven't seen Delpit all preseason. Like, we're just under the assumption he's going to play, and he's not on the injury report. Like, he's going to play. He's not injured.
Yeah.
We haven't seen him at all. He has not played. And correct, if anyone in the chat can think of, I don't
Emerson played in that last game.
He didn't play a single snap in the preseason, right?
I know Delpit. I don't think Delpit did.
That's what
Emerson
I'm saying.
played because, like, how many of the defense didn't we see? We didn't see a lot of them. I know we didn't see Myles.
Myles and Delpit didn't play at all. I think those are the only two that didn't play at all.
Okay.
I don't think.
Yeah, I'm not.
Because Darius played, Ogbo played, Tomlinson played, the linebacker, Taki and Walker didn't play.
Oh, well.
So maybe that's what I'm looking at. But yeah, Delpit hasn't. I don't think Delpit played a snap in the preseason. So now we could be, mind you, tomorrow will be the determining factor of whether Denzel Ward's cleared from a concussion, whether or not Juan Thornhill plays. This could just be a resting, but yeah, you could be going into this with your starting safety who's playing his first snaps of this entire season, a guy at Rodney McLeod who is very familiar with Jim Schwartz's defense, mind you, but still playing his first snap as a Cleveland Brown. And without your $100 million quarterback in Denzel Ward going up against Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, and Joe Burrow. Like, I like the guys on the outside the Browns have, but part of the reason I love their secondary is the depth, and they're potentially losing two very early in the get-go.
Well, I don't want to freak everybody out and, get too negative here because Mick the dog made a really good point. Doesn't matter what happens in the secondary if Burrow is on the ground. So that is a positive that we can take away from this.
Yeah, it's a good point. And it just, listen. I'm hopeful the defensive line can get pressure. If they don't, you need all your dogs in the secondary to be healthy to hold up. Like that. That's just the reality of the situation. So we'll see. We'll have more information tomorrow. It's what's plan B. Let's just go over what's plan B real quick. Then we'll get back to the offense. If Thornhill doesn't play, that means McLeod starts with Delpit, and you got Hickman and Fields as your two backups.
Oof. Yeah, I'm trying to think of the depth chart.
Which is, I mean, I'll pull up the Browns depth chart, but I'm almost positive, like very positive.
I think you're spot on. That has to be plan B.
According to the depth chart, no, it's not Fields. It's DeAnthony Bell. Fields plays linebacker. My bad. Yes. It's Bell and Hickman. Sorry, I got those two confused. I apologize. So you have Hickman. You have DeAnthony Bell as your two backups behind McLeod and Delpit. If Denzel Ward can't go, that means Emerson slides up to guard Chase. You have Newsome either on Boyd in the slot or on Higgins on the outside. And then you have to rely on either Mike Ford or the guy they just picked up from the Chiefs, Khalil Halassi, which I think I actually pronounced his name right. Khalil Halassi to be your third cornerback, which could be good, could be not. Those guys just unproven against proven guys on the outside. So we'll see. We'll see. But I do still trust this Browns defense regardless of those two.
True.
It just makes it a lot harder. Plain and simple.
It makes me feel a lot less confident going into the game, but I still feel very strongly that we have that. I'm picking the Browns. I know we're probably going to get to that later on in our
We'll do it
review,
at
but
the end,
with those two gone, it's a little bit more of a hesitant Browns pick.
Yeah, I think the game gets even more fun, to be honest with you. I actually think without those two, because I like offense, without those two, we might see more points on both sides. So, speaking of the offense, we didn't know fence riders today, and I was kind of on my own in thinking that Nick Chubb will be the primary focus of this Browns offense for this week in particular, as opposed to getting into a quarterback v. quarterback shootout between Deshaun Watson and Joe Burrow. I just think that there is so much expectations, not necessarily it's on Deshaun Watson, but the expectation that they're going to unleash Watson in this playbook and open things up and throw the ball around left and right as they should later on.
Yeah.
That Cincinnati's going to play with two high safeties and Deshaun Watson's going to check into a bunch of run plays and let Nick Chubb just eat against this light box that Cincinnati puts out there. So in my personal opinion, Nick Chubb's going to end up with more carries than maybe he's ever gotten in week one. I'll look up the number to see what his career high is in week one carries. I would bet the over on carries for Nick Chubb here because Deshaun Watson will be able to check into the right play. Everyone else said I was kind of maybe off base there. Where do you stand on whether or not Stefanski's going to chuck the ball around 50 times and/or feed Chubb? And there's no right or wrong answer.
No, I think you're right. When I was doing fence riders, I would probably put myself on the side of you. My only concern with that being we don't have the 1-2 punch we had now that Kareem Hunt is gone. And Stefanski is a very conservative coach. He could just option into Chubb every time, but after a while, when does Stefanski stop allowing for that to happen? Does he take Chubb out? Does he put Jerome Ford in? I want Chubb to be able to run the ball over. It's just how much are they going to let Chubb unleash in the first week? Which I think, in my personal opinion, they should let him go. He hasn't played a preseason snap. He should be as fresh as they can come. Yeah. I think he'll be fine. He's built like a tank.
Well, it's funny because so I did on Wednesday the top 5 things I think Browns fans need to be ready for, right, Ant?
Mm-hmm.
And one of them was Deshaun Watson calling audibles at the line of scrimmage. It wouldn't surprise me if on most first and second down situations, Stefanski gives Watson 2 plays and says, look at the defense. These are your 2 options. Pick the best option.
Yeah.
So I think the question isn't, will Stefanski let Nick Chubb eat? The question is, will the Bengals defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo let Nick Chubb eat? If they put an extra safety in the box and try to play with 8 in the box, Deshaun Watson's going to go, I got one-on-one on the outside. I got one-on-one with Elijah Moore in the slot. I got one-on-one with David Njoku coming off the line. I'm going to throw the ball left and right. If Anarumo says, hey, I'm putting 2 safeties back, I'm leaving my base defense in there, I think Watson says, Nick, you ready? Let's ride. That's going to feed him the rock. So it's actually, the way I see this playing out, it's not Stefanski who's going to be handcuffing Nick Chubb for this particular game. It's what Cincinnati's going to do defensively that will dictate how the Browns run and operate their offense, which is a good thing because unlike in previous years with Brissett and Baker, I don't think Stefanski felt comfortable allowing his quarterback to dissect the defense and say, you might know better than I do what was going to work best in the situation. But because Deshaun Watson's so good and so smart, so football intelligent, you know what? You have the ability. You actually see it with your own 2 eyes from field level. You put us in the right play. So as much as we talk about Stefanski and his play calling, I think it's actually going to be Deshaun Watson and whatever the other team's defense does that dictates how this Browns offense plays out.
Yeah. I know we get on Stefanski for adjustments. I guess you're right. It's just kind of depends on how much he allows then for Watson to take control. And if we fully believe that he trusts Watson in this offense, yeah, I guess you're right. It's up to him to read the defense and call the check.
I was trying to think of an analogy for this, and you tell me if this works. It may not make sense. I'm not a chess expert, but let me know. It's almost like Stefanski and Lou Anarumo, the Bengals defensive coordinator, are playing chess. And Deshaun Watson's the queen. And there's only one queen on the board. Like, Stefanski already got Anarumo's queen. He's trying to get a checkmate. And Stefanski has the queen, and Anarumo's kind of dodging on the offensive, but you can't be fully on the offensive when the other guy is a queen and you don't. Because that could be the counter to anything you set up. So Watson is the queen in the sense of whatever you do, whatever I do, if I don't like it, you know what? I'll put my offensive attack on hold for a sec. I'm going to move my queen to screw up your plan, and then you have to adjust to me. So I think that's what that's the best analogy I come up with. That may not have made sense.
It's not your best analogy that you've ever used, but it does make sense. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, listen, I'll take it makes sense.
It checks out.
They can't all be winners. They can't all be winners. So. But I do think for all the stuff that we've said about Stefanski, the stuff we yelled at, frankly, I think Stefanski's calling plays. I think Deshaun Watson is executing plays. Like, that's the reality of the situation this year. It is not play call, run said play. It is play call 1, play call 2. Deshaun, what do you like? You go with that.
Yeah, no, I fully agree.
Come on, Freddie. I didn't call him. You know what I'm saying. You can't take that out. Don't do me dirty like that, no. Freddie. Don't do me dirty. You guys, I'll play the whole clip if I have to. He's a queen on a chessboard.
Oh, I can't wait to see this on Twitter tomorrow morning.
Can't say anything these days.
You really can't. But I didn't think about it from that perspective. I've been watching the Browns for like pretty, not diehardly, but like paying attention enough to the Browns for about 4 years now with Stefanski, and he's been here for, I think, most of the time I've watched them closely. I tried to ignore the Hugh Jackson era. We try to forget about it. And his lack of adjustment just worries me. So I think you're right. I might be in the mindset of, I need to look at this differently, of we can trust Watson now because we couldn't trust people before.
Yeah. Hey, if you guys have any questions you would like me and Anthony to answer, drop them in the chat. Anthony will put them down, and we'll spend the last few minutes of this answering fan questions beforehand. And we're going to give our picks here in a sec for this game. Then we'll talk a little bit about the rest of the NFL and their week 1 schedules. But before we do that, if y'all haven't hit that like button already, do us a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We appreciate you guys for tuning in, hanging out with us on a Thursday night. It's a beautiful Thursday in Cleveland, and I cannot wait for some Cleveland Browns football. Anthony, we're going to do this on the show tomorrow, so I want to ask you first.
Yeah.
Who is your one X factor? Can't pick Myles Garrett, Deshaun Watson. Who's your one X factor for Sunday before we pick a winner?
So for defense, when you asked it this morning, I thought about it for most of the show. Ooh, you all right there? I know our allergies are killing us.
Yeah, my allergies are killing me right now.
Yeah. I think it's Greg Newsome. With all the questions in the secondary, I think Newsome is going to have to maybe step up, especially now with Thornhill. He was my X factor on the defense. I wanted to say Donovan Peoples-Jones was on the offense, but G and I were talking about it, and I'm like, I don't know. It still might just be Elijah Moore. I don't know what to expect from him yet. I don't know.
Good answer. Yeah.
I don't know what they're gonna. We've seen some stuff in the preseason. I think he might be a slot receiver / a hunt where he comes out of the backfield. He's going to be all over the place. I don't know what to expect from him, so I think that's what makes him the X factor. If I'm trying to plan a defense against him specifically in this offensive scheme, he's the one that I got to look out for the most because you never know which way he's coming from. And
I see we got at least one question in the chat. If you want to copy that to the private chat so we can answer it later.
Yeah, I got
as it slides down. My X factor offensively is Njoku. I listen, if you could buy stock in any player on the Browns offense to start the season here and finish the season here, I think the two choices are Elijah Moore and David Njoku. I think as a tight end, as the undisputed number 1 tight end on this team, as a guy I think could be an absolute weapon in the red zone, I'm buying all my stock in Njoku. And in this game against an offense like the Bengals, I believe you need to score touchdowns. You have to score touchdowns. I do not trust Dustin Hopkins yet. I'm sorry. He has to prove it to me. I don't trust him yet. I'm going for it on 4th downs. And when I get to the red zone, I need touchdowns. Njoku is my X factor on offense. On defense, it's Dalvin Tomlinson for me. It is. And here's why. We can talk about the pass rush all we want. if you can't stop the run, they're just going to run the ball 12 times in a row down the middle. They're going to do it. It's okay. They're going to do it like the Falcons did it last year. It is what it is. If your pass rush can be phenomenal. If you can't stop the run, it doesn't matter. Dalvin Tomlinson has to be able to clog holes in the middle, make life miserable for Joe Mixon if that's going to unlock the pass rushing abilities of a Zadarius Smith, of a Myles Garrett, of an Ogbo Okoronkwo. They need to be able to contain Joe Mixon, and that is where Dalvin Tomlinson comes into play here. And it's really all the defensive tackles. You could have gone linebackers. JOK could be there's a bunch of options you could pick. I would go with Dalvin Tomlinson personally. And with that, it is time to make our pick for the game. And you can start. Who wins on Sunday and why?
I'm going Browns. And I'm going to be honest, I think it's going to be a defensive battle. I think these offenses, with Burrow not being able to take a preseason snap and the leg being a little bit questionable, they're going to have some time to work out a gel. Our offense still needs to fully kick in. I don't think it's going to all happen and click in week 1. If it does, cool. Love to see it. But I think it's going to be Browns 21, Bengals 14. I think it's going to be a defensive battle, not very high scoring. Exactly what you don't like.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I always like points. I just think games are more fun when offenses are flying around. With that being said, I do think we see a decent number of points this week. I think the Cleveland Browns win 31-24. Nick Chubb goes off. This defense holds Cincinnati at bay for the majority of the game. In the first half, we see a defensive slaughter from the Cleveland Browns. Second half, Joe Burrow finds his grip, connects with Higgins and Chase. It makes it the Bengals make it close late. But in the end, I do believe the Browns beat the Bengals by 7. I see Bull's in the chat. If you ever want to crap on Bull, here's your chance. He is in the chat as Adam the Bull. And we will get to your fan questions here in a minute. Bull's going to give you his pick on who wins between the Browns and the Bengals tomorrow when we do our headline section. On the show tomorrow, by the way, Mary Kay Cabot and Tim Couch, if Tim Couch is up and feeling better. I talked to him this morning. He's a little under the weather. So hopefully we get Tim Couch and Mary Kay on to preview the game for you guys. Tonight, though, we have the Chiefs versus the Lions. Anthony, you said the Lions were your sleeper pick to make the Super Bowl. Are you picking them to defeat the reigning Super Bowl champions in the season opener, even with the fact that the Chiefs may not have Travis Kelce and Chris Jones?
If the Chiefs don't have Kelce tonight, I'm putting my stock in Jared Goff. I'm gonna lay my grave here on the Lions this year in the NFC. I don't know why. I think it's Dan Campbell. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't have a super familiar understanding of all of their weapons, but Jared Goff has Super Bowl experience. They came out of nowhere last year and did way higher than anybody expected them to. And if Travis Kelce is out for 2 to 3 weeks, is that what the hyperextended knee usually is?
I mean, he might play tonight. We don't know.
But even so, if he's out tonight, I don't know if it's official yet or not. Yeah, we should bring back Earl. Earl can talk a lot better than I can. But yeah, I'm picking the Lions. Why not?
Yeah, I've learned never to pick against Patrick Mahomes.
That's the only reason I feel bad doing it. But listen, it's like I said, they're my sleeper pick. They're my dark horse this year. So
the Super Bowl last year, I bet on the Chiefs, despite the fact everything in my brain told me to bet on the Eagles. They had the more talented roster. But then I said, it's Patrick Mahomes. I'm picking Patrick Mahomes. So I went with Mahomes. It worked. I'm taking Mahomes tonight. I expect the Chiefs to be good this year. I'm not too worried about Kelce missing a game or two. They're going to figure out the Chris Jones situation. He'll be back. He has no leverage here. But it is imperative tonight for the Chiefs to make a statement if they want to. Sorry, I was reading a comment. Earl's not leaving us. Do not worry. I promise you. I hope, if Earl has an opportunity to go bigger than us, he should absolutely take it, but he's actually officiating a wedding right now. We're not kidding. Earl, hop in here.
He's had this week planned off for, forever.
Yeah. Bull, I don't know. How do you like messages in the chat? I've actually never been in the chat.
Bull, I don't think you can in the YouTube chat. Hold on. I'm on my personal account. I don't know how. I'm
not sure if it's possible.
I think you can only report and block. So
let us know what you think the final score tonight of the Chiefs-Lions game will be as we get ready to answer some viewer questions here in a sec. We have 2 so far. If you have any more questions you want me and Anthony to answer, let us know. We absolutely will answer those here to end this little behind the glass segment. But Anthony, you picked your Super Bowl pick today. You picked the Bengals to beat the 49ers, I believe.
I did. Yes.
After hearing Bull say the same thing, do you feel worse about your picks because Bull's never right?
No, actually, I'm gonna stand strong and like I genuinely think it's the Bengals year. And I feel bad saying it because last year I'm like, oh no, it's the Bills year finally. And I think the Bills are ready to implode. So hopefully I don't screw up the Bengals season by saying this, but I think a healthy Joe Burrow in that wide receiving core is going to be a menace. And they have had to have the biggest chip on their shoulder getting so close the last couple of years and not getting quite over the hill. So I'm ready to see it, honestly. Also, I know it's an Ohio rivalry. I'm in the camp of it's a team from Ohio that could win it. And the fact that we have two now that could possibly win it, I'm kind of excited. Like the Bengals, I don't see so much as a rival, even though they're in the same division, as more of a little brother. And I know that's a terrible take for a lot of people in Cleveland.
Well, hey, if you're in the chat, as someone who's not from Ohio, answer that for me. Do the Bengals feel more like a rival or a little brother? I'm serious. I'm genuinely asking that question.
Yeah, I don't know. That might just be a me thing.
Or a brother. No, I'm asking. I don't know. I don't know. I really don't. So I'm curious to see how the Cleveland natives and the Ohio natives feel about that. Bull, you're right with baseball picks. I'll give you that. Bull is by far the best when it comes to baseball picks. Joel Ward says they're like a twin brother.
Yeah.
So I guess, yeah. I mean, listen, I think
my best friend and I
losing the Super Bowl. So
yeah.
The good news is for anyone who hates the Bengals, usually when everyone feels the same way on UCSS, when we're unanimous on something, we're usually wrong.
That's true.
We are all very high on the Bengals this year.
That's true.
Like the fact that 2 of you guys picked them in the Super Bowl and 4 of the 5 people who sent us picks had them at least making the Super Bowl. That's not the greatest indication of future success for Bull's Cincinnati Bengals. But we shall see. They are talented. On the NFC, real quick, who's your AFC sleeper, though? One team who's we're not talking enough about that you think has a chance to make some real noise here this upcoming season.
I think I was the only one who put the Dolphins in there, so I guess I'll go with the Dolphins.
That's a good one.
I know Tua with his concussions is questionable, but they still have Tyreek and Waddle, and so if Tua can get them the ball, I mean that's it. So like I'll stick with the Dolphins on that.
I'm all on the Jaguars bandwagon. Like I told y'all earlier, I'm on the Jaguars bandwagon. Hey, Bull, you want to hop in here for a sec? I'll send you the link if you want to hop in. Just give me a Y or a yes in the chat, and I'll send you the link real quick if you want to hop on. We got about 10 minutes left. You can help us answer some viewer questions here.
We can talk a little TV.
I'm not sure where he is. He might be in the car, but I figure if he's in the chat, he might want to hop in and talk a little football with us as if you didn't get enough, Bull, throughout the week. Tomorrow, by the way, on the show. All right, Bull wants in. Hold on. I'm sending you the link right now, Bull.
I think this is the first time, other than maybe an overtime, I'll be on a show with Bull.
With Bull?
Yeah, no, because I don't go out on the normal panel.
Bull, I just sent you the link if you want to join here. We'll let you in here in a sec. Tomorrow on the show, we're doing our Browns superlatives. So not your generic picks, not MVP, not best defensive player. We are doing our Browns superlative picks. And just to give you guys an example of what these picks are that we're going to get into. It's about a Browns player who isn't getting talked about enough. A Browns player we're talking way too much about. The Browns player that scares you the most in 2023. The most fun Brown to root for. The Brown most likely to change your opinion on this season, either good or bad. The Brown most likely to be traded at halftime. I mean, at midseason, halfway point of the season. The biggest pendulum guy. The guy you feel best or worst about with the biggest variance. And last but not least, this was a G. Bush topic. The Brown you're simping for this year. And with that, the guy we simp for, psych, nobody.
It's Bull.
What up, Bull?
What an obnoxious thing to say, Mike. You're out of control. Buddy. First of all, saying anybody simps for anybody is a little creepy.
That's it's a G. Bush special.
It's true.
Speaking of which, look what shirt I got on.
Hey.
Look, you're simping for G right now.
This is my favorite, like, hanging around the house shirt.
No joke. And this is not a plug for G.
Yeah.
The barbershop material is so comfortable.
Yeah.
It is so comfortable.
This is lit. I'm not exaggerating. I like every time I wear it, I wash it within a day so I could wear it around the house again.
I love that.
I thought you'd all like to know I'm not wearing any pants right now.
Hey, that's what you get on Behind the Glass. You get the
Yeah.
truth. Nothing that gets held back. Bull, I got one question for you. Then we'll get some fan questions to wrap it up here. We have a TV question. We have 2 Browns questions. We got room for 2 more questions. If you have anything you want the 3 of us to answer, you have about 2 minutes here to put it in the chat. Anthony will keep an eye on it. But, Bull, something we didn't talk about on the show because we didn't know earlier. We'll talk about it tomorrow. But Juan Thornhill didn't practice today either.
Yeah, that was interesting. That kind of came out of nowhere.
He has a calf injury. It's just listed as day-to-day. Well, I guess we'll see if he practices tomorrow. But if he's unable to go, there's a chance that Denzel Ward doesn't play, that Thornhill doesn't play, and the Bengals will go into this game facing a Browns secondary missing 2 of their top 5 guys.
Yeah, that kind of came out of nowhere. We hadn't heard anything about Juan Thornhill being banged up. If it's something that just happened this week, that's a little concerning.
Yeah.
Obviously. I'm going to guess that both Denzel and
Denzel Ward?
Denzel and Juan Thornhill, I couldn't think of his name for a second, that they will both play. By the way, I do have boxers on. I'm not sitting here naked. Let's clarify. But listen, I'm home. I'm relaxing. I'm sitting in front of my computer getting ready for my Final Fantasy draft, which starts in 30 minutes. Lovely. But anyway, so I'm on my phone. But that is concerning. If they both don't play, that's a problem. I mean, that's 2 of your 3 probably your 2 best defensive backs. Definitely 2 of your top 3 at the very least. Yeah,
and I was saying, if you were to miss Thornhill, there are certain teams I don't think it would be. Devastating is not the right word, but there's certain teams that would not affect you as much as a defense.
Right.
Against the Bengals with that receiving core, with Joe Burrow, with his knowledge of playing the Bengals 3 times in the last 2 years specifically.
Yeah.
I feel like the Bengals is the one team you would not want him to miss it against.
Before
we get to fan questions, Bull.
Yeah.
You can give the answer now to the people. It's a little preview for the show tomorrow. But the title of this video is the Cleveland Browns will beat the Cincinnati Bengals if ... So I'm going to ask you that question directly. For the Cleveland Browns to win on Sunday, what exactly has to happen for us to celebrate a post-game show and a reaction Monday with a victory? And Joel, I see your question. It is in the queue. We will answer your question. I promise you.
They have to make, as they've done in their victories against Joe Burrow, they have to make him uncomfortable in the pocket, especially since he's not quite 100%. And he hasn't taken a legitimate snap since the AFC Championship game. And for these purposes, I'll say preseason is legitimate. He barely played in training camp. I mean, he got hurt the first week of training camp.
Mm-hmm.
So, if they make him uncomfortable, which they've routinely done outside of their last matchup, if they do that, the Browns should win. I've been saying it all week, I'm expecting a low-scoring game. I'm expecting both defenses to outplay both offenses. I think the Browns, should I say my prediction or no?
Yeah, save the headline, but give the pick. These are special people who tuned into us, and you're a first ever guest on Behind the Glass. So, yeah.
I've got the Browns winning 21-20, like nail-biter.
Ooh, nice.
Really close game. And obviously, this game could go either way. I mean, it's a 2.5-point spread. Either team could win. It's a 50-50 game. I'm leaning towards the Browns because Joe Burrow hasn't practiced. Watson has. The Browns have played well against the Bengals. And the Bengals haven't been great early in the season. They've been a team that's been much better late in the year. And the Browns have played better against them than any team in the NFL has in the last 2 years. And it's not even close. So, so I'm leaning. But in the end, it wouldn't surprise me if the Bengals won. And if Thornhill and Ward don't play, that could be the difference. I think that, again, if I had to bet now, I'd be very surprised at this point if Ward doesn't play. I mean, he's practicing on a limited basis. I know he's still got to clear, but I can't imagine he would have practiced Wednesday and Thursday and can't clear by Sunday. It seems unlikely, but I'm certainly no doctor. But
I mean, different sport, but Ben Simmons was questionable for 8 weeks in a row.
Yeah, that's true.
It never happened. So who knows? I'll answer the same question.
By the way, this game is definitely much bigger for the Browns. You're at home. Like, the Bengals already know what they can do. Like, if the Bengals lose, this is not destroying their season.
Yeah.
They understand. They've gotten off to rough starts before and been fine. And I'm not saying the season's over if the Browns lose. That would be ridiculous too. I'm just saying, like, if the Browns getting a win like this over the Bengals, even though they played well against the Bengals, would be a comp, especially because the Browns, even though they won last year, it was against a crappy team. Like, the Browns have been so bad in week one games for decades that this would get everybody's radar up about them, and it would definitely give them a lot of confidence going to Pittsburgh.
I agree. Schefter just tweeted, Rappaport just tweeted Kelsey out tonight against
official,
the Lions, by the way.
Lions pick, lock it in.
Just so you guys,
I think you're nuts to change your pick. Obviously it hurts him, but it's not. I'm not changing my pick because of it.
I see in the chat someone saying Ward's practicing is cleared of concussion. He's not actually cleared. He is still in the concussion protocol. He is only able to do limited drills on the side. He is not a full participant in practice. He is still in concussion protocol and has to be cleared before he can play on Sunday. In my opinion, Anthony, I'll let you answer next, and then we'll get to these viewer questions. But for the Browns to win on Sunday, it comes down to executing in the red zone. You cannot accept field goals of shorter than 40 yards. If you are within striking distance, you have to go score touchdowns. That's where Njoku comes into play. That's where this Elijah Moore gadget comes into play. That's where Nick Chubb and, frankly, Deshaun Watson's legs come into play. The Bengals offense is too good, too dangerous, too scary, and can score too quickly to settle for 3. You have to be aggressive and score touchdowns in the red zone. That is how the Cleveland Browns.
Well, that's it. That's it. I mean, I could tell you it's not rocket science here, but whichever team settles for field goals is going to lose. I mean, it's that simple. And that's why I think the Bengals ultimately may struggle a little in the red zone this week because of Burrow's lack of action here. And the Browns have a better running back. Joe Mixon's a good back. Nick Chubb's a great back. By the way, speaking of Rappaport, did you see he reported that they're expecting Burrow to sign the extension before the season starts?
I did. I heard in the next 48 hours this morning was what I had heard. So, Anthony, for the Browns to win, what has to happen?
I think Miles and Za'Darius have to keep Joe on his ass the entire time. That is my goal for winning, and I think that's going to be what's going to have to happen.
All right, we'll get to some viewer questions here as we wrap up. First one is from E-Millions. He says, "What's up, guys? Who's going to return punts and kickoffs in your opinion? I like DPJ. I think it was reported today that Ford will be the primary kickoff returner, DPJ the primary punt returner. So unless anything changes, I believe that is what Stefanski and Ventrone both confirmed today. Did you guys see that same thing?
I didn't see it. You said Ford and DPJ?
Yeah, Ford on kickoffs, DPJ on punts, which would make sense. Those were their guys last year.
I mean, I didn't see that, but who else would you use at this point?
Jakeem Grant's not on the team.
Right.
I don't really know. I think those are the two options. If someone else is going to do it, I would like to see Elijah Moore, but I think he's too valuable to the offense to risk him.
They're not going to do that. Yeah.
All right, next up. This from Let's Talk About It. Do you think our field goal situation is solved with Dustin Hopkins? Ant, you want to start?
Probably not if the man's lost his job twice already in 2 years? Was that what it was?
Yeah,
he lost it
twice.
Yeah. I don't think it's solved. I hope at least the extra point problem is solved, but if we're not within at least 35 yards, I'm not feeling confident about him going out there. Anything past 40, I'm chalking it up to probably a miss.
Well,
is always an easy answer to this question is you ask yourself, are you confident if you have to make a field goal? And my answer is no. I'm not confident if he has to make a big field goal. So if the answer is no to that question, then it's not solved. Now, it may turn out to be. Every once in a while, there's a guy who's been in the league a while, has some ups and downs. All of a sudden, he kind of rights the ship, and for 3-4 years, he's really good. Maybe that's the case. I think people are getting carried away with they would never replace him. They just traded a pick for him. They traded a 7th-round pick. So if he doesn't get the job done, they'll cut his ass and bring somebody else back.
Yeah, I'm with you. I said on the show yesterday, I think they go for it excessively this year. I don't trust Hopkins' leg. I think Cleveland Browns Stadium is an extremely difficult place to kick. He just lost his job to a second-year guy. He had lost his job previously in Washington. Is he perfectly capable of making kicks? Yeah. He's a 10-year vet as a kicker. It's not like he's a scrub. but he's 50% in his career, 16 for 32 from kicks of 50 or more yards. In the NFL today, if you don't have a strong leg, I just don't always feel confident, and I do not feel confident in him with the pressure on. However, he has been very clutch in his career. He's 16 of 18 on kicks in the playoffs, so maybe he has the clutch gene. I just don't trust the long leg. We will see how that plays out. We have two more. We'll start with the football one. We'll end with the TV series one bowl, which you may have actually answered in the chat already, but this one's from Joel Ward. He's a new member. What's up, Joel? Appreciate you for joining.
Joel,
become a member of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Joel, we appreciate you. Even though I think you're a Ravens fan, we support all members of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, regardless of what team they root for. Joel says, are we sure we're not underrating the Ravens? Lamar is so hard to beat, and the team is coached so well. Bull, what's your thoughts on the Baltimore Ravens this season?
I got them finishing 9-8. I don't know. I mean, I think if I thought I was underrating them, then I would pick them to win more games. So that's for other people to decide whether I'm underrating them. I've always liked Lamar, but he's got to prove he could stay healthy. And last year, even when he was healthy, he didn't play. He got off to a good start. Remember, like the first 2-3 weeks, he played really well. And then the rest of the season after that, he was either not very good or hurt. He was turning the ball over. He's turning the ball over. Made bad decisions a lot the last 2 years, really, but especially last year. So now he's got better talent around him in terms of skill positions than he's ever had. But I think Lamar, it's crazy to say because he won an MVP, but it was a weird MVP.
Yeah.
Because he had just this weird season. But I think he's got a lot to prove, and I don't love their defense, so I think they're a mediocre team.
Joel is a Steelers fan, not a Ravens fan. I apologize, Joel. I'm actually with Bull here. I think they have a chance to be good, but I think they finish 4th in the AFC North. I'm just not sold on Lamar Jackson ever getting back to MVP form. I think that was the anomaly of his career. He's good, don't get me wrong. He's not a scrub by any means, but I don't trust the receivers to stay healthy. OBJ is already on the injury report. They're banking on a lot of guys who at one point in their career were healthy, but have struggled to stay healthy, and that defensive line is nowhere near the status it had been in the past. So I
agree.
I just – should they be good? Yeah. Do I think they're going to be very good? No, I don't. Would I be more shocked if the Ravens won 12 games or 7 games? I'd be more shocked if they win 12. I really do. And I guess Joel's a Browns fan, actually. Lot of reports in the chat. That's why, hey, we love the chat. And in this format on Restream, we could see the chat right next to us, so I can actually keep an eye on it. Thank God I can't see it during the show, because if you guys are going back and forth with just this many comments during the show, if I was trying to keep an eye on what's going on, I would be absolutely lost. So appreciate you guys hanging out with us.
I'd be surprised if the Ravens won 12 or 7. Lamar missed half the season last year, and they still won, 9-10 games last year? I can't remember exactly, but
yeah, I guess.
It's something about, listen, you got to give them credit. Steelers and the Ravens, both those teams are well coached, and they're even when they're not that good, they're always a little better than you think they're going to be. Now, maybe that changes this year. Yeah. But it's hard to and I picked the Steelers to be under 500. I said they'd go 8-9 last year. They went 9-8. But the thought of the Ravens winning 7 games, it's possible, but I don't think it's likely. I think the Ravens are 8-9.
I had them at 9-8. So, boy, me and you are on the same page. Yeah. I think there. And I'll start with you on this one. It's from E-Millions, our last viewer question. And once again, thank you to everyone who tuned in and hung out with us for about an hour tonight. But what's the best TV show you are currently watching? And
the new Ahsoka series on Disney Plus is really good. As a diehard Star Wars fan, fantastic. It's bringing together Star Wars: The Clone Wars, Star Wars Rebels, prequel, sequel, and some of the video games. So if you really like Star Wars, go give it a watch. It's fantastic.
Yeah. But here's the problem,
Hit me with it, Bull.
With Ahsoka. And I like Ahsoka, and I'm 1 episode behind. We haven't watched this week's yet.
Just so you know, yesterday's was so far the best. The newest episode, it's really good.
All right, fine. But the problem is you reference all these animated Star Wars series, and most adults have not watched that.
Go watch it.
I know, but there's 82 seasons.
That's true. Things. Clone Wars is long.
I've watched every Star Wars non-animated entity, everything, and yet there's a lot I don't know. My son has watched some of these animated things, not all of them. But if you haven't watched some of the animated stuff, then you don't get everything. And I think they should have given us a backstory on that to give us a better feel.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah. Anyway, but my favorite show I'm currently watching, tough call. There's a few things I'm really enjoying right now. I'm watching the last season of Billions on Showtime. Although it's not very good. It's stumbling to the end. I would say my favorite show right now is probably. It just ended recently, but I'm wrong. It's season 2 is going on right now. The Invasion on Apple TV.
Invasion. Well, do you watch Black Mirror by any chance?
No, people like that show, but I just haven't gotten
the new season came out a couple weeks ago, and it's individual episodes. They have nothing to do with each other.
Right.
I'm halfway through the new season, and that has been very, very, very good so far. Highly recommend.
Okay.
So would highly recommend.
Also, things I've watched recently that are really good. Winning Time.
Yep.
Which is in the second season right now. The Lincoln Lawyer, which didn't grab me at first, but on second run, I've gotten into it. I just started the second season of that. Hijack with Idris Elba, which is I think a mini series, I believe on Netflix, was really good. And there's one more I wanted to mention. No, I guess that's it that I've seen recently.
All right, well, we appreciate everyone who tuned in for this edition of Behind the Glass. Bull, shout out to you for joining us. Filling in for Earl the Pearl. Earl will be with us on Sunday on the post-game show. We are back tomorrow on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, 11 a.m. till 1 p.m. We will give you our picks, our predictions, our headlines, our Brown superlatives. We have 2 guests and our X Factors for Sunday's game. Jay's back in studio. We got the full panel, plus Jason, Tim Couch, and Mary Kay. Should be a good one, and we will see y'all tomorrow. Thanks again for tuning in. For Anthony, Bull, myself, peace.
See you guys.
See ya.